Hey guys, it's Brian again. Kind of in between learning some new songs right now. As if you've been watching my channel, you've seen me do a lot of covers and at least one original song of mine. And those of you that enjoying it, I appreciate it. I started off just doing this as doing some occasional guitar solos and some teaching things, and finally, after I don't know 30 some years of playing, I finally decided I started need to kind of work on my singing. So I've been trying to sing and play, and those of you that those of you that have been enjoying it, I appreciate it. So it's still work in progress. Maybe I'll be a great singer someday, who knows. But anyway, what I'm going to do today, while I'm working on trying to learn some more stuff, thought I'd do another little teaching thing and talk about one of these today. This odd shaped little device here. This is called a capo, and it's pronounced capo, not capo, like I've been doing it for 20 years. If you're from Arkansas, some people, that's why I always thought they were called. That's why I heard them called until I, actually got to start seeing videos from people from other parts of the country. Capo is the correct pronunciation. Anyway, this is a mechanical device. Show it to you again. It's like it's got this thing you can grab here and kind of a lever that opens and closes it, and a little bit closer examination of it. So right here you got this strip that's a piece of rubber. Got this little padded plastic thing here. What this is a device which when applied to a guitar neck, and I guess you can use it on some other fretted instruments too, but mostly see these on guitars. Essentially what this does is creates a movable nut on the guitar neck. So the nut, of course, is this little piece right here that your strings go through, and your frets start building after that. So what this does, you can take this and clamp it on in front of any one of these frets, and it raises up the key of the strings, essentially, by shortening the length. So if you're strumming open strings right there, that's your sound. If you're using all the neck. If you apply one of these up here, further on up, you're going to shorten the string length, which I'll just demonstrate with my finger as a bar. And see, that raises it up. So open would be like that. If you apply one of these, it's going to raise it up. So this is probably the most common type around. It's made by a company called Kaiser, which I believe this is all they make is capos. I've never seen any other product they have. But you can also get them where it's essentially this part, and it's like a strap that you can just tie around your neck. So there's that style too, but this seems to be the most common with people. Now, what they're good for exactly, I've never really used one very much, and not a particular fan of them. And again, this is just my opinion, but I'll leave you guys with my opinion, and by all means experiment. Been my experience what most people use these for, which I'm not sure if this is what the original intent was, but let's say, and I've not been teaching these complicated chords, but let's say you've done some work on your own, and you know what a C chord, or I'm sorry, that's a G chord. You know what a G is. Okay? You know how to play a G. Now, what a lot of people use these for, if they're wanting to play in higher registers, instead of actually taking the time to learn more complicated chords up the neck, or even simple bar chords, instead of trying to learn how to do that, they do this. And I don't know, let's just say, for example, we'll put it up here at the 5th fret, right? So kind of hard to get on there, but we'll get it on there. Okay, so now with that clamped down, you can play a G-shaped chord up here. Now, I'm not sure what chord that is I'm playing, but you're playing a different chord, different pitch, different notes, but you're playing it with the G shape. That's what that capo allows you to do. Now, I don't know if that's initially what they were intended for or not. I kind of view them, what most people use them for, my experience, what I've noticed. Most people use that because they don't want to take the time to learn these additional chords up here, and I've heard some people call them, jazz chords, whatever that means. A chord is a chord. It's not a particular one kind of music. It's what you can do with the guitar. So, these complicated chords, these jazz chords, people don't want to take the time to learn it. So, I am in that camp of, some people view this as a useful thing, some people view it as a crutch. Unfortunately, I'm kind of in that camp that I view this as a crutch. I view this as a shortcut, as a, a lot of people I've seen use these. It's a lazy way of, it's a lazy way to me of playing guitar. Just my opinion, but that's what I've noticed. Now, it's like if you're a guitar player, if you're serious about playing music, if you want to learn a particular song, why not just learn the chords up here instead of using one of these? Which, by the way, will eventually, I would not use these, especially on a nice guitar or a rare guitar. It's eventually going to mess your neck up. Just the tightness of it and what it does to the back of the neck will make an indentation on there. So I don't like them for that reason. Now, what you can do with this that's pretty cool, on just a quick history, I did a little bit of research. I was thinking this is more of a modern invention. Apparently these things have been around since about the 17th century. They originated in Italy. I think the first patent on these came from the US, though, so it would have been back here, in this century somewhere, probably the 30s or 40s. But anyway, what would be neat about these to me, and you can't really do it, well, right, let me go into this real quick. So, okay, now, most people I've seen play with these are folk musicians, which I like what they do with it, and I'll get to that here in a minute. And then the other group I usually see playing these are what they would call people that are in, I guess you call them worship bands nowadays. Your church band, they call it worship music nowadays. That is the fastest growing element that uses these, apparently, from my research. Real popular with them, playing a lot of songs in higher keys, and rather than bother learning new chords for it, they just rather use these. Which maybe if you're trying to learn a lot of material regularly, maybe that's what that's good for. I don't know. But anyway, what the folkies tend to do, and you can buy these already pre-cut, but some of them will take these and cut them down themselves instead of having that whole bar of rubber going across the whole fretboard. They will cut off individual links, so it's only pressing down, say, 2 strings or 3 strings, and then everything else is in regular tuning. What that allows you to do, and I talked about this in another video about use of alternate tunings. I'm a proponent of that, but I do not like to tune my strings up past what's recommended because of the stress it puts on your neck, possible twisting and things of that nature. This little device, properly cut, will allow you to do that, raise you up into alternate tunings. And there are even some people that take, say for example, take 2 of these. Let's say you're usually a banjo player, you're used to playing banjo. Of course you have a different tuning on guitar and that additional string. I have seen some people take 2 of these and like put one up here on that low string just to shorten the length and make it like that high banjo string, and take another one, put it down here somewhere, you know, to change the tunings of these, so put it kind of like a banjo tuning, which it's usually tuned higher than the guitar. And they'll just be playing banjo licks, you know, on a guitar. So that's a cool thing you can do. I can see the advantage of doing stuff like that. Now, probably the only person I'm really a big fan of who always used one of these, I'm not exactly sure what the reason was, but always. One of the greatest blues guitarists, Albert Collins, which he didn't use a pick either. He played everything with his fingers, and he always used a capo. It was usually, I think, around the 3rd fret, maybe 5th, but for sure it was the 3rd fret. And he would never play below that fret. I don't know why. Now, as for myself, other than me thinking it, you know, talking about as being a crutch, you know, for playing chords, I mean, I like to have the entire guitar neck open to me because I might play up here, I might play down there. I like to have the option. One of these, even though it's quote-unquote supposedly a quick release, it's still kind of a deal to get off the guitar when you want to get it off. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Anyway, the thing about these, because how it's the stiffness of it and it's trigger loaded, especially if you're using a cheaper guitar, like I've got a lot of cheap guitars with cheaper tuners, these are notorious for pulling the strings out of tune, so it's another reason I don't like them. But apparently Albert, what he did was he would have it clamped on there, and he'd usually have these bass strings, you know, droning in whatever key he's got snapped up at with a capo. So in his, you know, for him, I wouldn't consider it a cheat what he was doing. He was still doing very complicated stuff, sounded great. It was just part of his sound. He liked it. I'm just not a proponent of them, but what I was talking about where you can alter them to raise your strings up into higher keys without tuning up, I think that's really a useful feature of these, and that's probably the way to go, and that's probably what they should be used for. If you're playing, you know, about 4 or 5 chords and you don't really want to learn them in other positions on the neck, that's what a lot of people tend to use them for. So that's my little video about capos and the good and the bad of them. So, you know, take what you will from it. I think you can find most of these for maybe $10, probably not more than $12, and they can be useful. There's different ways to use them. I'm just not a huge fan. So anyway, that's a little bit of info today. Working on some new stuff. Hopefully I'll have it posted tonight. So thanks guys. Bye.